Okay, boobs. Hi. Hello. Hello. Well, that's kind of Sydney Sweeney's thing these days. So here's boobs.
My body's composition is determined by my genes. Hey, eyes up here.
Okay.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
Okay, so this harkens back to my hot take, which I don't think is that hot of a take, which is I don't think Sydney Sweeney's a good actress. I don't think she works too as like a sexy actress who does comedy because I don't think she has enough tongue-in-cheek humor in the way that Pam Anderson did. Like Pamela Anderson was also known for being sexy, right? For like, here's me running on the beach with my boobs my boobs going up and down. But Pamela had more of this like kind of cheeky sense of humor underneath it all. And of course, Pamela Anderson was also a person who was like extremely objectified, sexualized, etc. And basically, I just don't think that Sydney can pull off this kind of like tongue-in-cheek, wink-wink humor. She's very flat in all her delivery, which is ironic considering how not flat she is otherwise. Yeah, this is just something I have felt for a while where I don't find her interesting as an actress. And so to me, the constant like, here's my boobs kind of feels like is that because you don't have, because as an artist, you like can't offer anything more interesting. Okay, so there's like that part of it too. And then this one is so awkward. Like it's just.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often.
Like the sound on, I saw this before without the sound on and I was kind of like, ugh. The sound on is, it's really, it's bad. It's bad. It's a very weird topic for now where the proceeds for the product are going to. Yes, as I said, like the mixing in domestic violence, right? Raising money for this crisis hotline, which is it's a very good cause. Okay. And I think, Sydney Sweeney's film where she is playing, Chrissy Martin, who was, she was a very, very famous female boxer who really changed the sport of boxing for women. And unfortunately was also a victim of domestic violence. Her husband tried to murder her. So I think too, like Sydney has gotten involved with raising awareness and money for, about domestic violence because of this film that's upcoming. But I just don't like it. I don't like it. And I've seen some people also make the point. Where like this additionally feels weird. The like Sydney has good genes, like emphasizing her, blonde hair, blue eyes, blah, blah, blah. Given the current environment, like it just feels it feels it's giving Aryan Eagle. Yeah, like talk of genes, and obviously they're doing like a play on words here where they're doing a play on words where it's like Sydney Sweeney has great genes and it's an ad for jeans, right? Like that's the play on words, as you can tell. But a lot of people I've seen react to this and feel pretty uncomfortable by the other potential messaging here around like the superiority of blonde hair, blue eyes, white genetics, given the current culture. Like you have to, always considering cultural context. You can't separate something from its cultural context. And so the read on it being one that's like not comfortable, not great given the current political and cultural environment that we're living in. Okay, so like there's all of that. And then the last thing is it seems to kind of also be pulling inspiration from another famous ad for jeans, which is that of Brooke Shields. So Brooke Shields back in the 80s did a very famous Calvin Klein campaign, and the part of that campaign that went viral that like is still referenced today is when Brooke Shields, who mind you was 14 years old at the time. Okay, Brooke Shields was a child, and she's wearing tight-fitting jeans and says, "Do you want to know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing." And it like that phrase "nothing" became a cultural catchphrase. The ad campaign is like one of the most famous ever, and it's icky because Brooke Shields is she was a minor when she shot that ad, and of course we know that Brooke Shields was like deeply exploited as a child performer and was frequently put in very sexual situations as a child. And anyway, so it kind of seems to also be like pulling inspiration from that ad campaign, which also just feels like, what are we doing here? Because you were alive back then, right? You know what? I am immortal. Okay, Brian Johnson, you want to figure out the secret to immortality? It's me. Sydney also did a Lolita-inspired shoot. Okay, I must have missed that one. It started off ironically satirizing her objectification, has looped around her unironically objectifying herself. Yeah, and it's kind of gotten to a point where it's like, look, I'm not a person who's going to sit here and be like, oh, women can never be sexy. Oh, women can never own their bodies and their sexiness. And like, you have great boobs. Like, sorry, put them away. I'm not a Puritan, and I don't believe in controlling women's bodies. However, the other thing is that this ad feels extremely male gazy. And these are jeans for women. So what are we even doing here when you are yet again filming something in a way that feels very objectifying and feels very much so through through a male-centric lens. And this in particular is supposed to be advertising towards women because that's who would be buying these jeans. Now, I don't want to discount my women loving women. Okay. My lesbians. All right. You know what I'm saying though. All right. Because it still feels as if it was shot in a very male gaze way. And at this point, Sydney, she has said repeatedly, like, I'm exhausted of people feeling, no, it's fine, this feels weird and doesn't appeal to us. Like, yeah, it's very clear who the target audience for.
My body's composition is determined by my genes.
It's very clear who the target audience for these ads are. And it ain't the women who it should be targeted towards, because that's who would be buying these jeans.
Hey.
And also women being the primary victims of something like domestic violence, of which the proceeds from the Sydney jean are going to a charity, to a hotline that supports victims of domestic violence.
Eyes up here.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
And so Sydney has talked, as I said, a lot about how tired she is of people objectifying her, of of constant conversation around her body. And like, yes, she is absolutely allowed to feel that way. And of course, she's one of the like frequently used celebrities that incels online will post a photo of and be like, Sydney Sweeney's actually mid, or like the only context of which she's discussed is that of her body. But she also, like, with the soap thing, with this, with just how often she does seem to be promoting herself in a way that feels like the purpose is objectification. I think you're right that it doesn't land because her delivery just isn't there. Yeah, I just don't think I I don't think if this is supposed to be, like I said, tongue-in-cheek kind of humor, wink wink, that she can pull it off. Wait, somebody posted a TikTok that I wanted to see. Hold on. Who posted the TikTok on Brooke Shields, and why can I not find it? Oh, Nikki, you posted it.
But now I've put away childish things, and I'm ready for Calvin's.
My Pretty Baby documentary first premiered 2 years ago today, and this part definitely stands out among the rest.
Calvin Klein jeans.
I think I was 16. Richard Avedon was doing this campaign, and Calvin wanted me
To make jeans?
They have said, we're going to do a series of cinematic commercials. It's going to be a play on what a jean is.
The secret
See?
of life lies hidden.
It's going to be a play on what a jean is. Does that sound familiar? So, like, I'm not making it up when I say the American Eagle campaign seems to be ripped from the Brooke Shields Calvin Klein jean campaign, which, again, is highly controversial, as it should have been at the time, because Brooke Shields was 14 and already had faced sexual exploitation from Hollywood for years, and like continued to.
In the genetic code. Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of an individual and passing on these characteristics to succeeding generations. Occasionally, certain conditions produce a structural change in the gene, which will bring about the process of evolution. This may occur in one or more of the following ways. Firstly, by selective mating, in which a single gene type proves superior in transmitting its genes to future generations. Secondly, by gene drift, in which certain genes may fade away while other genes persist. And finally, by natural selection, which filters out those genes better equipped than others to endure in the environment. This may result in the origin of an entirely new species, which brings us to Calvin's and the survival of the fittest.
Calvin Klein jeans.
Oh yeah, that's the kind of shit that was going on in the 80s. Deeply
On these characters,
deeply exploitative.
Childish thing.
Just, I mean, poor Brooke Shields. What that woman went through when she was a girl growing up in Hollywood is just horrifying, and unfortunately not unique. Like, she is someone who, we talk about her a lot when we talk about exploitation in Hollywood, but it's not as if this was it's not as if this was just a unique situation, because the environment obviously made it so that nobody really blinked an eye. That when she was in like Blue Lagoon, when she was a girl, like having to kiss men who were 40 years older than her, nobody was like, hey, this is horrible. This is really exploitative. This is a child. Yes, I mentioned the aspect that Sydney has her Christy Martin film coming out. So the other thing too is that this Calvin Klein campaign made Brooke Shields even more famous. Like she was already well known, but this catapulted her into even greater fame. And so the ad campaign that Sydney is doing for American Eagle, I have to believe is also in part of promoting her upcoming film, that this is kind of a way to like be doing press as well. And so the whole thing kind of just feels icky because, again, the campaign is to raise money for domestic violence victims. The film is a film about a lesbian boxer who, in her marriage to a man, was horrifically abused to the point that he tried to kill her. Did you watch the other version of the ad that people are saying has Nazi dog whistle undertones? Did I already show this one? Yeah, I showed this one. Yeah.
Hair color.
It's really weird. And a lot of people, I think, saw this and reacted negatively to it. And it's one of those where, like, I just don't think there is I don't see the defense here. Sydney's ad is less sexual, which is crazy because Brooke was a minor. Yeah, that is crazy. Thinking of this quote from the Brooke Shields documentary, one of the responses to feminism was the sexualization of little girls. If you're not going to be traditionally feminine, we'll replace you with little girls. Oh, man. And the other thing, too, is like, yeah, I think what can happen with... I think what happens is like any type of criticism around blatant objectification like this, which is something that Sydney has herself repeatedly engaged in, you'll get called anti-feminist, right? You'll get called like, oh, so you don't believe that women... What about choice feminism? And it's like, okay, choice feminism doesn't mean that every choice you make is a feminist choice. We clearly don't understand what choice feminism is. It's also not comparable to the Sabrina Carpenter discourse. Which, no, I don't think that this is the same thing. But I think, I hate doing the meme. I hate doing the sorry to be the friend that's too woke. But the thing about being a woman and having the freedom to make choices is that that's still existing within a system that is misogynistic, that is dominated by patriarchal attitudes and power. And so simply by like Sydney being a woman who is like having her body be put on display, be the centerpiece of like everything she does not make that feminism. Sorry, don't care. I'm allowed to analyze things from a feminist point of view. Just being a woman doesn't save you. And I think sometimes like people will recognize that it's a bullshit defense, but they'll dig their heels in because it's all they have. It's all they have. They'll be like, no, you're wrong. And you're giving conservative, you're giving puritanical conservative, like, okay, so men are allowed to objectify, but women can't, women can't show off their bodies. I'm a young dude and I obviously think Sydney's an attractive actress, but like this doesn't even appeal to me. This feels very targeted toward like a Nelk viewer or something. I don't get it. I'm from marketing. And from marketing terms, I don't even feel compelled to buy new jeans. Well, again, these are women's jeans. So like, why would you as a man, like, are you going to buy them for your sister? That's what's like silly about it too. You know? And the other thing as well, like, I don't know, as a guy, no, I mean, I'm not a guy. If I were a straight man, okay, and I saw these ads between the, like, here's Sydney Sweeney's bathwater and, like, here's Sydney Sweeney's boobs to sell jeans, I would also be like, okay, I'm more than just interested in boobs, all right? Like, this feels as if it's reducing me to only wanting to objectify women, all right? That's how I would feel. I would push back on it because I'd be like, hey, I'm one of the good guys. I'm one of the good ones, okay? And this objectification ain't gonna work on me. I feel like Sydney's kind of gone down the pick me route, especially some of the lines in the Dr. Squatch ads. Most of my man friends said the Dr. Squatch ads were weird as hell. I looked at them too. They were really weird. Sydney Sweeney's ad for American Eagle leads to stock rally of 17%. Market cap grows by 400 million.
This ad campaign, launched by American Eagle Outfitters on 23rd July, led to a staggering rally of its stock price by over 17%. All thanks to Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney, or the limited edition Sydney Jean as they are called. American Eagle unveiled its fall denim campaign starring Sweeney, who was recently in the news for launching soap made from her actual bathwater. The ad is titled "Sydney Sweeney Has Great Jeans." Stocks rallied 17.65%, adding nearly $400 million in market value, and taking the struggling company's market cap to almost $2 billion. This is AE's boldest campaign to date. It includes the limited edition denim jacket, AI-generated try-ons on Snapchat, giant billboards in Times Square and the Las Vegas Sphere, and a hot product called the Sydney Jean, featuring a butterfly motif that supports domestic violence awareness. American Eagle is trying to reconnect with Gen Z shoppers, a group that's increasingly price-sensitive and style-conscious, but disengaged from legacy retail brands. Sydney Sweeney's aesthetic and social media presence aligned perfectly with that demographic. American Eagle stock spiked nearly 10% in intraday trading and then surged further up to 22% in after-hours trading. Overall, the brand earned a surprise boost of $400 million in just one day.
I mean, literally, the stock market is just dominated by meme stocks. Okay, it's all fake. It's just you have meme stocks controlling the market.
On Reddit's Wall Street bets and StockWits piled in, helped by the brand's elevated 12% short interest. This meme stock action fueled the momentum, even though AE's fundamentals remain under pressure. If you're wondering what meme stock is, it's a stock that gains popularity among retail investors through social media platforms like Reddit. AE has been struggling. The company had withdrawn its annual earnings forecast in May due to uncertainty over China tariffs and soft retail demand. This campaign was a gamble, which certainly paid off momentarily. This meme rally was a blessing for American Eagle, as the company had suffered a 35% fall in share price in 2025
saved
so
the market.
Far. Analysts all over are calling this a smart move, saying that celebrity tie-ups lets brand tell stories fast, which is exactly what AE needed. However, the company and the market saw a reality check on 25th July as the share price dipped by 4% to settle at $11.52.
Is this implying Reddit gooners made this a meme stock? It seems to be the case that gooners on Reddit were like, ooh, Sydney Sweeney's boobs again, American Eagle to the moon.
American Eagle's market cap is still above what it was on Tuesday and by hundreds and millions of dollars. Sydney Sweeney has proved that she's not just viral, she's valuable. For now, Sydney Sweeney has made denim great again for American Eagle, Gen Z shoppers, and even retail traders.
You know, it's so interesting to me. And then I'm going to move on from this. We'll talk about the next thing. But Sydney Sweeney is clearly showing that she is trying to branch out from like her roles, say, in Euphoria. Okay, like she's trying to be taken seriously as an actress, which is why she signed on to play Christy Martin in this biopic. Okay, she packed on muscle. She trained to play a lesbian boxer. And yet it's everything she does outside of that, though, does not match up with what it looks like she's trying to do with her acting career. And it's strange because it kind of seems to be that like the people who are into Sydney Sweeney are gooners on Reddit. Like, is that the audience that you want? Because they're not going to go watch a film about a lesbian boxer who was a victim of domestic violence. I just am... I'm confused with what she does outside of her. And the reason why this is important is because of the role that social media and that the influencer aspect of being a famous actor, especially like of the younger generations like Sydney is in, that plays in someone's career. So it's absolutely tied in. I feel like in 8 years we're all going to learn that our management or family have been taking all our earnings forever. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, too, I'm just not that interested in Sydney Sweeney as an artist. Like, she is one of the biggest talents in Hollywood. She is incredibly popular. And ultimately, I kind of am just not, I'm not very curious about her and her career, because I just don't think she's that great.